Okay, so I'm gonna go through some progressions for a freestanding handstand like I would go through in a class setting. Big thing here is that a lot of times we go over certain things that are kind of high skill that we don't see a lot of athletes really wanting to get into or coaches to really coach. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna go through something that would be very simple that can get a lot of athletes to kind of progress and kind of view their skill as something that's attainable and something that they can really practice when we work into this freestanding handstand hold for the day. So the idea is that we're really gonna be developing some progressions to allow you to practice one way, shape, or form of the handstand hold, whether or not that be on a wall supported, using the box, a headstand, working on just control maybe in a crow pose, maybe going into a full headstand, maybe just one leg extended, going into a block drill, or a drill supported against the wall, or even just working on a partner handstand hold out on the floor. I don't have a partner here today, so I'm just gonna show you some of the progressions that I would take through. Setting up, imagine like you have a long wall, and we have an ab mat here. That's gonna be kind of our headstand progression to start off with, which is something like a crow pose. We'll also have the box drill. We're gonna talk about kick-ups, and then we're also gonna talk about how to utilize the box for a little bit of a different progression and kind of go through some different things that we would have where we have a few stations here, and you can have athletes kind of rotating through and practicing as you go. So first thing we're gonna do is just gonna talk over what we wanna do here on just developing some core awareness and some balance here in the crow position. So you'll take the ab mat, because ideally you're kind of probably out on the floor, and then utilize this against the wall. We're just gonna come in, we're gonna find our hands, and what I wanna think about is hands here, be pressing through and learning how to use your grip is kind of gonna be a big way to do this. And it's just a kick up into a balance position. It's kind of the first thing that we're really trying to go on with this one. The next one, so if you noticed, my knees were still on my hands. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put this to the side. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna start taking our knees off of our elbows, kind of working our way in that way. So I'll be back this way so you can see a little bit better. And what that does is it gets my shoulders turned on, and it teaches me some of the progressions that we're really trying to get through in terms of shoulder stability and positioning. Now what we can do is we can just extend one leg up, then both legs, and just work on the position, and that tripod position will be a little bit like this, of what it would feel like to find your core and turn on your shoulders, but now it's with a head supported versus a freestanding position. So you saw there was a headstand, and then what I started to do was add some play to it. So what you can do is start with certain athletes, maybe just extend one leg. Once you get up into that position, learning how to keep your core on as you move your legs will help you learn the sway and what we're kind of gonna get when we can do a freestanding handstand, where your core is gonna be a lot more wobbly, and learning how to control that. So that's why starting with a headstand also can be a really great way to just get people kind of over the hump of learning some inverted balance exercises as they progress. Now, once athletes kind of get the headstand and they kind of get a little bit of balance there, what you can do is you can take them up to a box, which is kind of unintimidating because they don't need to necessarily kick up into that. So this could be the next progression that you have in line. So you have everybody out on the floor. You're like, hey, we're all going to do headstands. And now we're going to go over to a box. Everybody get on their box. What we're going to do is what we want to see. So we're just going to put those feet up on those blocks. You can start here and work on grabbing the ground. Then just walk your hands closer, but making sure you're pressing with straight arms. Then lifting up one leg. And just working to prime positions in that handstand hold, working in that pike position, really turns on the lower abs. Honestly, I find it a lot harder than holding a freestanding handstand. And you can work in that piked handstand hold as a great modification, which will then lead us into what we're gonna do up on the wall as one of our first drills. Okay, so now we've had athletes out on the floor. They've tackled a little bit on the headstand. They've gone into kind of like a piked variation on a box. Now what you're gonna do is working into a wall-facing handstand hold is gonna be much better for body position, working on that hollow body position that we're trying to get through. Then if we get to an L shape and press over, you're gonna focus on learning how to pull your hips over the top, right, of your body as you get in line there. And it's actually a harder position. Then when you pull that foot off, you can kind of kick and get a little bit of weightlessness. So it's a little bit of a challenging position here, but what you're gonna do is you're gonna come up, and you can see how much tension I'm creating there. And I even did some nice little kick ups to see just a little bit of weightlessness. I don't kick up a lot, especially for newer athletes as they're kind of getting that, but just feeling a little bit off the floor in that L position, they won't kick over the top. So that's kind of the big key, is they just have, you know, that foot off, and then they just kind of kick, and you can feel some weightlessness against the wall as you move into it. Getting closer to the wall, getting over the top, pressing through the ground, really thinking about straight arms, but then also looking at the hollow body position, and focusing on nose and toes like you're at the top of a very perfect wall walk. So wall walk would be a progression here as you kind of move up to the top. We usually use that as a progression for a handstand walk. So we're gonna walk up, we're gonna press through. We're gonna really focusing on trying to pull our chest away from the wall, point our toes up, fall on a hollow body position. So you're pulling yourself off, working on body position. So what I did there was I tried to get in as aligned position as possible. And I'm gonna hold there, and that could be your accumulated time in a handstand. Honestly, if you can work up to 30 seconds at a time there for 5 sets, you are doing a very good job within, you know, roughly like a 10 to 15-minute time period to working your way towards a freestanding handstand hold. So we've had athletes get that wall-facing handstand hold. They were in a good position. Maybe they're afraid to kick up, so that wall walk was the way that you did it for a lot of them as you moved into it. So that would be a good way to go. Now what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna learn how to kick up, and what it's gonna be, it's just a straight arm position. You can do this out on the floor, but having a wall there is kind of nice. All you're gonna say is, hey, press through the ground, straight arms, kick up, and then press through the sky. Straight arm. And the reason why I did it that way is that you're practicing the kick up with having the wall there as an option to touch. But if you're teaching your athletes, some athletes just kicking up is the big thing. Next athletes, they can kick up, it's kicking up without kicking over. So if you can practice that against the wall, they feel safe, right? They feel okay. Then you practice the kick up and almost stop your momentum and just hold there would be a good way to go. Once you practice the kick up, we're just gonna waver that leg off. So we pull one off and then we waver the other leg. And that can be a really great start, but we're gonna show you a way to make it maybe a little easier. Starting off with 4 of our bumper plates here. Each one of our bumper plates is 2 inches, so honestly, If you have more of those like 3-inch bumper plates, you can actually probably just go to 3, would be a good way to go, as this will create a good starting point. The higher it is, the more you can press into your forearms, and then the easier it becomes. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna come up. I'm gonna put my heel of my palm right up against the plates right there. So this is a great way to just progress athletes in. Put the heel of your palm right on there. You're gonna get up, and then what it's gonna allow you to do is actually have a lot easier that waiver drill that I just did, staying off the wall. The reason why it's easier is because as soon as you start to fall, generally speaking, when you come in over the top, press down into your wrist. That keeps you from falling backwards. Now I can press down through my whole arm, and that blocks me. And then having it against the wall is kind of nice, because then the other side, normally when we fall over the top, in a freestanding we need the fingers to press through the ground. So what we do is we could just practice that when your feet start to come to the wall, press down through your fingers, but then pull yourself back, and then you press more through the forearm, and then that's gonna allow you to do that. And then as you take weights away, you're gonna progressively go to learning how to use more the heel of your palm rather than that forearm as a blocking drill to work the freestanding handstand. We've progressed athletes through a lot of these drills. We can do it as a partner drill out on the floor. Maybe you just give someone some targets as you move into it. Would be a great way to bring into a class setting. But what we can do is once we've kind of felt that out a little bit, you practice kicking up, maybe wavering, you've practiced that freestanding. Now it's just about kicking up on the floor, finding your position, and not moving. Now, in CrossFit, when they've done competitions, they've given you a 4x4 square. What I will say, take that idea away and don't ever let your hands move. If you let your hands move, you won't develop and progress the way that you should. So you should keep your hands stable, and you should just kick up. And if you move your hands, you kick down. Now, we're gonna go for, a big seconds here, and I'll show you kind of like the kick up and the idea. But the big idea you're gonna notice with my hands is that I'm gripping and kind of playing in terms of going up. Hopefully I get a good handstand here. And work on the stability for my freestanding handstand. And those are the progressions that help me get my freestanding as you practice, and you develop time, and you get more time under tension in the freestanding handstand hold. So that would be a great way to build into class and just work athletes through. Could take only 10 minutes. I spent a lot of time kind of going through it. Would it be headstand? Okay, let's move to the box, practice some drills there. Let's move up to a wall walk, to wall facing handstand hold, work on positions, working to kick up without trying to necessarily touch the wall, wavering off the wall, move to block drill for those that maybe can progress and feel like they're pretty close to having a handstand hold. Once you've hit the block drill, let's have them move out to the floor. Maybe you give someone with some partners to have some targets there, or you just try to work your kick up. And that would be a great way to progress things in class and have a nice little fun skill session.